Imagine yourself at the edge of the arena, the scorching sun reflecting off the metal of the armor as a crowd cheers at the crack of leather against shield. You're about to discover the secret of the Roman gladiators, true elite athletes whose physical conditioning rivaled that of the empire's mightiest legions. But before diving into this world, consider the dilemma these ancient warriors faced. Accept slavery and risk their lives in bloody combat, or starve in despair on the streets of Rome. How many went days without tasting so much as a single loaf of bread? How many dreamed of a chance to escape misery, even if it meant facing a sword? Here you will learn step by step their rigorous training regimen, the Roman diet that forged impressive muscles, and the gladiator class strategies that kept the crowd in ecstasy. Prepare for a journey of sweat, pain, and glory that will explain why these men conquered not only the arena, but also our imagination. Now, before we plunge into these stories and curiosities of the Roman Empire, make sure you're subscribed to our channel and hit the bell icon. That way, you won't miss any of our videos packed with secrets and surprises about ancient Rome. But what nobody told you is that these men were more than just fighters. They were shaped as living investments, valued in gold, trained with almost scientific methods, and turned into idols of the masses. And it all began with a choice: accept a slow death on the streets of Rome, or fight for glory under the blade of the arena. Let's go back to the start of this brutal journey. The gladiator's path, between slavery and glory. Amid dark alleyways and crowded markets, Lucius Aemilius walked with his stomach growling, each step feeling unbearably heavy. When he saw the Lanista Sabinus setting up a recruitment stand, something stirred in him. The promise of 3 meals a day, medical care, and perhaps a name etched into the empire's memory. It was the offer of redemption for indebted plebeians, and Lucius decided to risk everything for a spot in the Ludus. For Marcus Fabius, a discharged soldier, the appeal was different. After years on the front lines, military discipline still pulsed in his veins. Sabinus's offer came with armor, daily training, and a purpose. He could stay strong, regain order, and perhaps recover lost pride. Despite the risks, he saw a more stable fate there than the emptiness left by the legions. Titus Cornelius, a prisoner of war, was brought to the Ludus as an investment. Valued at thousands of denarii, his future depended on performance and endurance. For him, there was no choice. Training was the only way to survive and honor the freedom stolen by the enemy's sword. Thus, the dilemma driving so many men was: born, accept the sword, or succumb to misery. But how did Rome select exactly those who would become legends? Let's find out in the next topic. Selection of the strong. Requirements to become a gladiator. In the Ludus courtyard, Sabinus displayed the list of requirements: minimum height of 1.73, flawless physique, and willingness to train day after day. Aspirants underwent strength tests, lifting empty shields, dragging heavy runs, and even endurance trials in total darkness. Every drop of sweat that hit the packed earth floor sealed the fate of those who remained standing. Those rejected faced a short life as cannon fodder in the spectacles, but the chosen knew they were valuable assets. Marcus lifted the shield and felt the cold metal against his arm, noting its exact weight. Every gram counted toward the Lanista's calculation, who considered a gladiator's cost equivalent to years of a legionary's salary. Titus, despite his scars, impressed with his agility and steady grip. His unwavering gaze at Sabinus showed determination. He would endure any pain for a chance to fight for his own glory. In this way, the Ludus ensured that only the fittest became part of the Roman gladiators, ready to captivate the masses. Discover now the initial training routine that turned rookies into true giants. Her steps in the Ludus, the Tetrad routine, The Tetrad was the heart of gladiator training, a 4-day cycle alternating effort and recovery. On the first day, Lucius focused on stretches and light mobility exercises, preparing every muscle, fiber for what lay ahead. That calm had a purpose: to prevent serious injuries and allow the body to adapt gradually. The second day pushed limits, runs wearing partial armor, heavy dumbbell sets, and training with the wooden sword twice as heavy as the real one. Marcus, accustomed to marching miles, found himself challenged by endless repetitions. Every drop of sweat was noted by Dr. Flavius, who recorded it all to calibrate the next cycle. On the third and fourth days, the Ludus embraced active recovery. Oil massages, hot baths, and auxiliary exercises with medium-weight dumbbells. Titus used the time to perfect technique, correcting his posture and focusing on his breathing. This balance showed that the Ludus understood the principle of supercompensation long before we even had a name for it. And at the core of this method emerged the true objective: a body that impressed both in strength and aesthetics. Musculature and performance, the body as spectacle. While legionaries trained to march and fight in formation, gladiators sculpted themselves for entertainment. Dumbbells from 2 kg to 20 kilos for endurance sets and loads up to 100 kilos for explosive strength turned the Ludus into an ancient gym. Lucius learned to alternate high-rep sets for endurance with low-rep sets for hypertrophy. Dr. Flavius guided Titus to execute each contraction perfectly, observing symmetry and definition. It became an almost artistic ritual. The gladiator not only had to win, but also dazzle the crowd with defined muscles and graceful movements. The audience, in turn, applauded each rippling muscle as if celebrating not just victory, but the beauty of the human form. This emphasis on aesthetics made the Ludus a precursor to practices that would only become popular centuries later. Marcus took pride in every makeshift mirror reflecting his sculpted back, but he also recognized that this physique was the armor that would protect him in the arena, a perfect combination of form and function. But beauty only mattered when paired with refined combat technique, and that came at the most brutal moment. Combatant technique, the dance of survival. At the center of the Ludus, wooden logs, called palus, were erected to simulate invisible foes. Lucius drilled attack and defense combos, adjusting his angles and force with each strike. The wood snapped sharply, reminding him that every move could be the difference between life and death. Sparring sessions with fellow recruits and, most importantly, controlled duels with the veteran Dr. Flavius tested mastery of technique. Marcus learned early that strength without precision was suicide. A well-placed feint was worth more than a clumsy blow. The Ludus arena was the stage for a true deadly dance. Titus, with his agility, integrated the net and trident in unexpected maneuvers, forcing opponents to decode his attack patterns. The imaginary crowd echoing in his ears fueled his motivation. He fought not just for himself, but for an audience hungry for spectacle. Have you ever wondered how this event shaped the fate of an empire? Drop a like now and help us keep bringing you stories like this. From there, the true brotherhood among warriors began to form. Discover the bond forged in the oath. The oath and the Gladiator Brotherhood. In a solemn ceremony, the novices gathered around a flickering torch to swear the sacrum Ius Iurandum. One by one, Lucius, Marcus, and Titus raised their right hands, pledging loyalty to the Ludus and to each other. It was more than a blood pact. It was the birth of a family forged from iron and sweat. From that moment on, every gladiator became the guardian of the other. Marcus carried Titus when he collapsed in exhaustion. Lucius covered Marcus's flank during combat drills. The Ludus Brotherhood was built on empathy and respect, an ironic counterpoint to the cruelty they would display in the arena. The gladiator ethos prized sportsmanship. Funeral inscriptions proudly noted who spared an opponent's life. This A code of honor resonated even among bruised bodies, elevating the spectacle beyond mere carnage, and within this world, each fighter assumed a defined role. Let's explore the classes that divided glory and risk. Gladiator classes, strategy as a game. The Ludus was organized by specialties, the Gladiator classes, each with its own weapons and armor. Lucius was chosen as a murmillo, imposing with a heavy helmet and large shield. Marcus became a hoplomachus, balanced between offense and defense. Titus embraced the role of retiarius, swift, armed only with a net and trident. This system resembled deadly chess. The murmillo could overpower the Thraex, but was vulnerable to the retiarius. Every fight became a tactical spectacle. The audience, aware of strengths and weaknesses, bet on surprises. With each match, the crowd buzzed at the suspense of seeing who would defy expectations. More than strength, it took battlefield cunning. Marcus studied his opponent's traps. Titus practiced feints and precise strikes. The result was an unpredictability that kept the arena electrifying and made class matchups the driving force of Roman entertainment. With classes set, it was time to hone specialized skills, pushing body and mind to the limit. Class-specific training, total adaptation to style. For the murmillo, Lucius ran wearing an 8-kg helmet to simulate real weight. He learned to drag his feet, feeling every irregularity underfoot, so he wouldn't stumble under the referee's watchful eye. The massive shield demanded constant strength, and balancing protection with mobility was trained in every step. Titus, in his dark blue tunic, chased feathers cast into the wind, developing feline-like agility and reflexes. His lightweight trident allowed for lethal strikes, but demanded pinpoint accuracy. One mistake, and he was defenseless. Marcus, protected by chainmail and a medium shield, focused on footwork and positioning. He learned to maintain the front line, exploiting reach advantage and physical conditioning. Each class became its own universe of techniques, revealing the specialization that turned gladiators into martial artists. This demonstrated the level of mastery. More than fighting, it was about owning one's role in a mortal spectacle, ensuring not just victory, but awe from the audience. Physical consequences, deformities, and functional aesthetics. Galen, the famed physician, described the gladiator as a creature deformed by excessive muscle. Titus noticed his neck becoming almost square from months of bearing heavy helmets. His shoulders swelled, but his spine bent subtly from constant shield and weapon use. The asymmetry was clear. The arm wielding the sword grew disproportionately compared to the one bearing the shield. Lucius, gazing into a bronze mirror, saw scars that told stories of perfect blocks and dramatic strikes. The subcutaneous fat, sometimes criticized, served as a protective layer, absorbing blows without fatal injuries, ensuring a bloody but survivable show for the audience. Marcus, used to a soldier's lean physique, initially found Titus's bulk odd, but recognized the effectiveness of that natural armor. Every callus, every hypertrophied muscle testified to the pain endured in pursuit of glory. This functional aesthetic was the peak of spectacle. Each scar and muscle bulge narrated a saga of sacrifice and an unwavering will to live another day for applause. The Barley men's diet, energy, fat, and unbreakable bones. To maintain such muscle mass and still build protective fat, the gladiator's diet was almost entirely vegetarian. Lucius consumed up to 1 kilo of barley cooked in water and sesame, milk alongside 700 grams of beans and hearty vegetable stews, fueling hours of training. Titus rounded out his meals with fruits and greens, apples, lettuce, cabbage, and at the lanista's discretion drank a shake of burned bone ash rich in calcium. This strange concoction doubled his bone strength, turning them into veritable iron pillars. Marcus, missing meat, accepted rare exotic portions, ostrich wings or elephant ribs, as spectacle bonuses. But it was Barley, the staple, that earned them the nickname Barley Men. Every workout, every meal, and every oath culminated in bodies and stories that still resonate today in our imagination. If you enjoyed this journey through time and want more fascinating tales, subscribe to the channel, hit like, and share this video with your friends. That way, you help us keep bringing high-quality historical content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video about ancient Rome and its grand empire.